Hi there, and welcome again to OnClick Closet. Today we will create the same design I prompted using Midjourney, so we'll translate the AI design in Style3D Studio. So stay with me till the end, and we will see the magic together. Let's create the neck pattern first and keep the reference picture in the background by importing it as a sketch. To create the neck pattern, we're going to add the rectangle and make it a double layer, and then we'll quickly use another rectangular pattern for the bodice. Edit the neckline to make it a round neckline, and then add fabric to the sides where we needed to sew at the center back. After sewing the back, we give a little depth to the bust by adding some internal lines and giving different fold angles. We can do that later also, but why are we doing it right now? We need to visualize the shape of the hemline of the top and to give it a nice shape and curve. We also need to add some darts, so that's why just adding some internal lines now would work well. We have to always manipulate the darts and shift them to give them a nice corset-like look. I am playing with some internal lines and continuously shifting their placement to give the impression of boning to the underbust. This might take a while to figure out the exact shape of the bust, and for that, I also made my fabric a little transparent so I could see the avatar and draw lines perfectly. Now that we have the basic shape of the top, we go back to the reference and start creating the wrinkled fabric effect. For that, we adjusted the width of the pattern from the hemline, extended the center front from the bottom side, and then sewed the pattern with some elastic so it gave a nice gathered look at the center front. Continuously shifting the internal lines and the hemline and putting some elastic on the edges to give a really nice look, as we have in the image. I have also edited the fabric properties to the softer fabric so we can have the nice drape around the torso. Meanwhile, I am using the same shortcuts that the software has by default. To make the patterns, use S and C to edit the points, D to add internal lines, and right-click on the mouse to get all the menus. Letter N to stitch the whole segment line, and M to freestyle stitching. Add the circumference tape to attach the pattern with the avatar in the back side of the fabric so it is in place. Now we have the underlayer at the bust pattern. So I am tracing it from the main bodice so that we can stitch the underlayer. To place it under fabric, select the pattern, right-click, and choose under. Give the torso nice little details in the fabric. For the inside pattern, we have to change the fabric properties and add some strength to the inner layer so it stays in place. Now that we are done with the top, let's move on to the skirt. For the skirt, I am going to add a rectangular piece for the belt. It's a little asymmetrical, so increase the width on one side. To make the skirts, create a circle using shortcutty and cut the circle in half, and stitch it to the belt. Repeat the patterns and stitch them under layers and over some patterns. We need to adjust the width of a pattern, so we have to do it manually according to the design. Repeat the same process for all panels of the skirt. And add a 1-inch border to each pattern of the skirt. You can create another piece of pattern for frills or just add internal lines to the edges of the circular patterns and cute sew them. I am adjusting the height of the pattern and also giving it more gathers around the waist. Now we can see that the weight of the skirt panels is much heavier than the belt. So here we can use the circumference tape at the waist and attach the edge of the belt to the avatar's circumference tape so it says at waist, and we can have a nice fall. This is how I create my looks in Style3D. I hope you learned something, and let me know in the comments your queries and questions. Subscribe to stay tuned with me,